That sounds so daft, but it's the scariest thing, that episode. I'm David, and I am from England. The one time where I was made very, very aware of my accent, I asked someone from Canada. We were talking about horror films. I said, "Oh, are you a fan of Saw?" Right, with the traps and Jigsaw and Amanda and all that. And they were so confused. Saw, no, what? As in SORE? No, as in SAW. And they were like, "Oh, oh god." My earliest introduction to horror, I think, and it must be this, is watching Courage the Cowardly Dog. That was my introduction to horror. It's a funny cartoon, but some of them, they're like really creepy. Like the Weremole episode where Courage's owner gets bitten by a mole, and at the full moon she becomes a mole. Saying it, I'm like, that sounds so daft, but it's the scariest thing, that episode. I'm a bit of an all-rounder. I will give anything a chance. Whether I enjoy them afterwards is a completely different kettle. I really got into found footage more recently. I think I've watched so many of them that I've really strict rules now. So it's like, no matter how much I'm enjoying a film, if they stop committing to the bit, I get so angry. So if it's found footage and then suddenly they start playing suspenseful music, I'm just like, no! And the fourth one I found so viscerally upsetting. And there is a scene in that where there's dramatic music playing. I was like, you know what? Let it slide, because I am too traumatized to be angry about this. I really got into those found footage ones where they feel like true crime documentaries. Horror in the High Desert does that so well. You get to the end and you're just like... And I was just like sat on the edge of the seat peering, going, is there anything there? I can't. And then you just see something move, and I was like, "Oh, nah." I love those kind of movies where it's low budget, so we're gonna do it in this way. Let's do it in a way where, in this style, that our budget can fully accomplish. And I think they do, and especially Horror in the High Desert does that so well. And Savage Land, I can't miss out on a chance to just like bang on about how good that film is, because that is found footage just taken to a completely different level. That really did feel like a true crime thing, because it was showing these photos and then having people who were still there going, and over there is where that photo was taken. And the reveals of it was so, not in a way where it felt like you were being fed plot, but it felt like it was just giving you information about the world. I love that film so much. And I'm watching it in 2024. It's a film that was made in 2015. The issues that it's tackling, it's like, no, those are still issues that we've got now. The thing going in is, oh, I wonder what the plot contrivance is going to be for them holding the camera. You would have jettisoned the camera by now, because there is no earthly reason, with all the stuff that's going on, why you'd remember to pick it up again or to keep hold of it, or even that, to keep filming in the direction you're going. The VHS films, I can't remember all of them. I can't remember all of the segments. A cult attacks some kids on skateboards. It's something like that. But they have GoPros fitted to their helmets, and that's why they stay filming. I was like, okay, now that's good. That works. It's like a couple are on a honeymoon, and it turns out she married him for probably money, so she like kills him, and it turns out she has a girlfriend. And I remember watching that, and I think there's a bit where to do the grand reveal, the camera has to be left on, but there'd be no reason why the camera should be left on. Okay, I appreciate the reveal, like what you've done here. Why was the camera on? To be honest, if you'd said, oh, after seeing the first one, what do you predict for the second one? I would not have been able to predict the bedroom scene. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do it, but I'm kind of nervous in a good way, because that scene is so over the top, and nasty, and when you think it's over, he comes back with salt and bleach, and it's just like, oh my god. Tomorrow is gonna, it's like, this will be the second time that the UK public has ever been faced with the Terrifier ever, and I was like, they are gonna go so hard in this one. I don't think we're gonna be able to handle it. The main bit that sticks in my head about that is, Sammy, those are fucking onions, because I love that. Like, I love that more than life itself, I think. I'm not going to linger on this too long, but like House of Spoils, I watched. It had Americana folklore underpinning for weird, spooky shit happening. It had hallucinatory stuff and a character's sort of spiral into madness thing. It's headed by an Oscar award winner. It's got one of the people from Succession in it. It's got Barbie Ferreira for all you know, Euphoria fans. Real cases of shadow people, the Sarah McCormick story. Because it opens with, these 3 people have gone missing. I was like, oh god. It's a really good film, and for most of it looks like the footage of a documentary that's not really going to plan. And then it escalates quite a bit. It like pierced my very soul. I was like, it's the simplicity of it. It just like really shook me. Things being wrong. One of the scariest moments in it, at the beginning, the kid who's just had his arm bitten off. That bit I was like, oh, chill. But he's like dragging himself out into the street, and you just see Pennywise's arm reaching out of the drain. And the camera lingers on it just long enough for you to be like, nah, that arm's too long. And that bit like really freaked me out. Stuff like that. It follows as well. That tall dude, because he just emerges out of pitch darkness, and then like the camera is like angled low, so he looks even taller than he is. And that freaked me out. I was like, nah, too tall. Smile as well, but that is still too wide. But it's close to okay, but not quite. Having said that, ice cream vans don't scare me, and they always have Mickey Mouses that are just close enough for you to know what it is, but not close enough for it to be normal. So you can watch a horror film and be like, well, at least I'm not that guy, sort of thing. I think any form of artistic expression can help, as I will always refer to it for myself, advanced sadness. There was an article where a therapist had said that it's a red flag if you relax while listening to or watching true crime, because you are making yourself feel good through the trauma of others. And I was like, no, it's not like some schadenfreude thing. I just think true crime's interesting because, for better or for worse, well, for worse, those people exist. And I think it's the same with horror. For whatever reason, different stories connect with people, and it's you don't exactly know what is that's going to make you tick and in what way it will, as the world is now. I don't want to be too doom and gloom, but Christ. So it's like anything that gives you comfort that doesn't require, hurting yourself and others should be encouraged. If watching A Nightmare on Elm Street 1 through 70 billion back to back is what you need to make yourself feel calm, do it, because it's a tough life, and anything that makes you feel good about yourself or feel good about life generally should embrace that. No one should mistake me as someone who is fearless when it comes to films, because I'm not. Regardless of how they make you feel or how gruesome they can be or how big or small the ideas that they're talking about are. Sam Raimi, when he was being interviewed about the first Evil Dead, he said, Evil Dead, I was trying to make the scariest film I could. Our rule was to make it like the Three Stooges but replace custard with blood. Being scared in a controlled environment it's like the film version of I am going into a haunted house because I want to see if I can get through the haunted house. No matter how horrible a film is, you can always turn it off. It's a fun experience because it's like, let's see if this is the film that makes me turn it off. Wish to God I'd turned off Human Centipede 2. In my spare time, I write stories and stuff. I go straight to the horror genre because it's a fun genre to be in. I think everything else, there's like the strict rules. You have to follow this convention, you have to follow that convention, this, that, the other, and stuff. Whereas horror is just like, nah, screw it. chop that guy's head off, it'll be great. So I feel there's a lot more scope for fun. I mostly do short stories. Horror is the genre I tend to live in. The last but one I wrote it's basically got a possessed scarecrow in it. The nugget of that idea I had was a scarecrow where the mouth opened and an actual tongue came out. I was like, that's gross, but weird, but why would it have a flesh tongue if it's made out of straw? That idea stuck with me for ages. I was like, I need to write this possessed scarecrow story. A killer that killed people, so a slasher obviously, where it was all Canadian themed. So I floated this idea past the 2 Canadian people I know, and they both said it was fine. So if it's really into like the whole horror being a playground thing, that was great, because the things I thought of were disgusting, but they were kind of funny because they were like Canada themed. So the one guy gets fitted up to tubes and has his blood drained out of him, like maple trees and stuff. A guy gets like strapped, like manacled, that's it, to the floor and sprayed with a mixture of wood oil and beaver pheromones, and then they just release a pack of wild beavers onto him and they eat him. Factually, no, and I googled a lot about that, and it was always 85-year-old woman was startled when a beaver bit her hand, and it's like, because she was poking it in the eye, what else do you think it's going to do? So I reckon if beavers were angry enough and horny enough, maybe. Neil Marshall, he does really excessively violent stuff. It's a brutality that I don't always see in all the horror films. Kill List is fantastic, but that ending, I was like, this is beautiful, but so grim. UK does a lot of gritty, middle-aged men gonna kill people. It starts off as that, and you think, well, okay, and then it goes, it's like a complete heel turn. The chasing through the tunnels and stuff is just so intensely claustrophobic, and then the payoff of the film is just that. I'm not going to say what it is now. I don't even want to risk that someone hasn't seen it and hears the ending, because it's just, god damn, that's... That film I want to give so much credit to, because I saw X and I was like, well, that was a movie. And I watched Pearl and wanted to... But Maxine, I watched it, and this is fantastic. I do want to actually start putting my writing out where people can get it. I have so many notebooks filled with story ideas. I can put out a newsletter with whatever the story was. No later than August next year, I want to have something done, some way of getting them out there. For next year, and this can be at any point next year, hopefully next year, a part 4 of Horror in the High Desert, because Horror in the High Desert Part 3 was very, very good and very scary, but it raised questions that I need answers to. Do you mind me reading you a letterbox review that I put? Fuck you. I unironically love this dumb, stupid, deranged film. There's nothing I can say about this film. You have to witness it for yourself. It is nothing and it is everything. It is the best and also the worst. It is the beginning and it is the end. Just watch the movie. You can thank me later. And no, Catherine, I don't know what they say about incest.